Hey, good morning. I'm going to give you a quick and simple demonstration for how to take potassium nitrate and make a solubility curve. To do it, we need multiple data points. And so we have 4 different test tubes. Step 1. And it says this in the lab in case you don't remember what the video said. Weigh out 2, 4, 6, and 8 grams of potassium nitrate. And you'll put them in your 4 test tubes. So 2, and then 4, and then 6, and then 8 grams of the potassium nitrate. Then go to the center bench in the lab to get the deionized water. Don't use any tap water today. When the tap water boils, it leaves behind a line scale, and it makes things cloudy and dirty, and we have to clean it. There are 2 dispensers in the middle of the lab that have deionized water. So go get some in this. Measure out your 5 milliliters in here. Pour 5, 5, 5, 5. The salts will not dissolve right away. And that's why I have a beaker of boiling water over here. So go ahead and put your test tubes in the water where you have a couple thermometers sitting as well. I'm really close to boiling right now, so I'm going to turn down my flame. Oh, that's nice. You don't want to boil. If you're close to 90 degrees, you can even turn your Bunsen burner off and watch the thermometer and keep it in between 90 and 95. Something like that would be really good. So your salts are in your test tubes, and they're warming up, and they're starting to dissolve, and you'll take your stir bar and gently stir. If you jab at the bottom of the test tube will break open and you'll have to start over. This happened several times yesterday in Moody's lab. So you're stirring gently. Oh, do you see what I just did? I transferred one to the other and I'm mixing. So it's okay to stir, and then before you put your stir bar in the next one, make sure that you rinse it in your sink. Put it in the next one, stir. Okay, it's all nicely dissolved. And rinse. Now you've kept track of which test tube is 2, 4, 6, and 8 grams. They should be labeled. My test tubes are labeled 1, 2, and 3, and 4. If your test tubes aren't labeled, feel free to label them. 1, 2, 3, 4, or 2, 4, 6, 8. That kind of makes more sense to me. The 8 grams per 5 milliliters of potassium nitrate is going to crystallize the fastest. So you'll take your pre-warmed and clean thermometer, place it into the 4th test tube, or test tube 8 grams, and pull it out and set it in your rack. Then you can take your 2nd thermometer, find test tube 3 or the 6 gram test tube. Make sure your test tube's clean, or your thermometer's clean. Place it into the solution and put it in your rack. And this is where you're going to eyeball, watch very closely your solutions. Watch and watch and watch and watch and watch. You can even pull them out of here, put a little piece of black paper behind to see contrast. As soon as you see any cloudiness appear or any white precipitate at the bottom, anything that's different than perfectly transparent, perfectly clear. If there's a change, then crystallization has begun, and that means you're at your saturation temperature. Look at your thermometer, take your temperature at that moment when the cloudiness first began, and write that down. All right. Now, once you've done that for these 2, you've got to wash your thermometers off. Place them back into the warm test tube bath. And once they're warmed back up to equilibrium temperature, go ahead and place your thermometers in the last 2 test tubes and put them into your rack. And do the same thing. The only problem here is that the test tube number 1, which is your 2 grams of potassium nitrate test tube, is going to take a really long time to crystallize. So if you're running out of time, run a little cold water and see if you can't get the potassium nitrate to hit that saturation temperature. It ends up being close to room temperature. So you really have to cool this down. Don't be afraid to use tap water. All right, you guys, finally we've got cleanup. So for cleanup, take your thermometers and wash them off in the sink. Set them back on your table. You can leave your water right there for next period. And your test tubes will be taken to little plastic beakers that are in the middle of the lab. Dump them out into the beakers that are in the middle of the lab over here. I don't know if you can see where I'm pointing. And then take these to the main sink and rinse them out a couple times. I'll have some brushes over there with soapy water, and bring these cleaned and brushed test tubes back to your bench, flip them upside down, and those 4 different concentrations and 4 different temperatures can be used to make a smooth curved graph where you have concentration on the y-axis and temperature on the x-axis. That's going to be your solubility curve, or the curve of the saturation of potassium nitrate in water. Good luck.